Y'all know that kind of thing just gets my motor going. Y'all know I love me some music like that. And I'm telling you, there's nobody better at doing this thing than Fred Hammond. Boy, I'm telling you, this guy just has a unique gift. And I'm just of the conviction that if Fred Hammond's music can't move you, then you've got to be dead. I mean, you just got to be dead because I'm telling you, the groove, the beat, the message and the music, it just gets me all pumped up. And as y'all can see, I'm a little bit pumped up this morning. I think that's a good way to start each and every day by getting your praise on. Now, I know that it takes some people a little time to get warmed up. But you know, this will certainly ignite your fire if it doesn't do anything else. Linda Taylor, good morning to you. Jackie Davis Watkins, good morning to you. And I'm going to throw this up here. Tisha Hillman, thank you for reminding us. John P. Key will be here on this Friday at 7 p.m. at Memorial Church. Pull up and praise. Just pull up in the parking lot and enjoy a concert from John P. Key. And that's sponsored again by the Memorial Baptist Church. Praise God, a New Vision Worldwide Fellowship of Ministries under the leadership of the presiding prelate and my pastor, Apostle Larry B. Aiken. And I guarantee you, if you go out and attend that particular concert, you're going to thoroughly enjoy yourself. A lot of times when John P. Key is in concert, he'll throw some things in on you. You may wound up hearing a song that he has not yet released. The last time Lady Ann and I were in attendance at a concert there, Memorial, he sung the song publicly. I believe it was for the very first time. He said he was trying it out on us and was going to see how we liked it and was preparing to record it. And it's the song I Made It Out. Yeah, we were able to help sing background from the audience. He taught us the song and we sang the background, and I thoroughly enjoy that song to this day. So two great artists. John P. Key was featured on that last number, They That Wait on the Lord, with Fred Hammond. I'm telling you, man, having the two of them together on stage or on any project, you're destined to be tremendously blessed by that. Let me take the time to give a special shout out to Sister Pat Hall. I understand today is your birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Pat Hall. Listen, we at Canaan, we certainly love Sister Pat. She's been a long time member of Canaan. She was a member of Canaan when I was called to pastor Canaan. She's shown herself to be nothing but faithful. And let me say from myself and particularly from my wife as well, how much we love you and how much we appreciate you. And we hope that you tremendously enjoy your day today. Celebrate it. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you to give God praise because you're a praiser and a worshiper anyway. But enjoy your day. You certainly deserve it. I'm telling you, anybody that's never had the blessed privilege of encountering or being in the presence of Sister Pat Hall, well, I can tell you right now, whenever you do meet her, you're going to meet a jewel of a person, just as sweet as she can be. And that's the only way that I've ever known her to be in the past 29 years now that I've known Pat Hall. So God bless you. We love you. Celebrate. And our prayer and desire is that you have many more favorite years ahead of you. Also, I want to make mention, I understand, Sister Rosemary Hardy, you're going to be going through a procedure on tomorrow. We're going to be praying for you. We'll be lifting you up. And just know this, that God's got you. He's going to bring you through all right. You're going to come out better on the back end than you were on the front end, than you have been on the front end. So again, know that your Morning Mocha family is praying much for you. I also want to do this, if you all don't mind. Ladies, don't get upset with me and don't be haters, but I just want to give a special shout out to all the men who connect with us here on Morning Mocha each and every morning. And the reason why I say that is that, women are prone to do those things. It's just within their nature to be supportive of this type of platform and to seek and try to gain wisdom from whatever positive platforms they can. It's just in the nature of women to do that. Men can be somewhat slow when it comes to this type of thing, but we have quite a few men who join us each and every morning. And I'm telling you, I thought about it this morning, and I think it deserves a special shout out. The men deserve a special shout out for their diligence, their consistency, their desire, and their seeking of greater wisdom for their lives. So special shout out to you, brothers. Love you, man. My prayer has always been that our men once again take the role of leadership as God has ordained. Now, that's not to put women on the back seat. No, but it's to step up to the plate where our women will know that they can depend on us, that they do have men that are strong leaders, men that love God, men that seek the face of God, the word of God. That's always, I believe, that's somewhat comforting to women when they know that they have men in their lives who honor and bless God and who desire to become better with each and every passing day. So shout out to you, my brothers. God bless all of you. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to jump right on into what I want to talk about today. It was what I was attempting to get to on yesterday. For the past several days, I've been talking about relationships, and I want to talk a little bit about the family today. Now, let me just put this disclaimer out here right now. I may not get to talking about the marital relationship today. It's highly unlikely, but I want to talk about the family in general. But I will come back and discuss the marriage relationship because I believe that is very, very, very important. And there's so much that I would need to unpack when I start talking about the marriage relationship. I'm on my way there. I'm going to touch on a few things here and there likely today, but there's going to be a day where I'm going to specifically address the marriage relationship. And I hope and pray that everyone will still tune in, whether you're married or not, because even now, single people who are aspiring to be married can learn from the wisdom that is shared with married people who are presently married. And even if you have a great relationship, even if your marriage is a wonderful marriage, a blissful marriage, we all can stand to have reminders shared with us, reminding us of the importance and the need to continuously do maintenance on our relationships, on our marriages, to continuously seek to make our marriages better, to keep the passions of matrimony burning in our spirits. I can tell y'all this right from the very start. Y'all hear me every morning, and it is not fake. It is not a show thing, but I love me some Lady Ann Cobbins. I really do. She is my heart. If I can say this, she's my heartbeat, and I honor her that way. And again, we've been married 25 years, but I'm still trying to find ways to even now make this thing better, even better. I want the flames of passion and the fire and flames of love to burn continuously and get hotter and hotter every year. And that's not just about a sensual passion, but it's more about how do I want to say this, a passion of commitment, you know, a passion of connectedness, enjoying the commitment, enjoying the connectedness. Well, let me just kind of get off that and go to where I really want to go today, because y'all know I can hang out there for a good length of time. But I want to start off by saying this to you, and I think most of you will agree with me that the family relationship is the most unique and even most complicated or complex relationship that a person can be engaged in. Family relationships can be so complex. They can be so complicated. There are rules that govern the family relationship that simply are not applicable to relationships of a different nature. You handle family much different than you do other relationships. As a matter of fact, you tolerate more from family than you do from people outside of your family relationship. The dynamics of a family relationship are much different from other relationships. Now, in the typical case of family relationships, there are connections, there's a level of investment and a commitment to the relationship that ordinarily occur by default. There are certain things that just happen simply because you are family. There are certain commitments to the relationship that are automatically instilled in an individual's mind simply because of the biological connection. But I'm sure that most of us know and we understand that blood does not necessarily create the expected or anticipated bonding together of family members. There are people who are connected by blood, but that's the only connection that they really share, because there is so much division at times that exists within family units that you cannot even identify or label family members as having a relationship, if you will, because of the disconnect that has occurred in family relationships. I know that a lot of times we've heard over the years, so many times people have said, and I know some of you that are viewing right now, you've made this statement yourself, that blood is thicker than water. Now, I can kind of look at that in a number of different ways. Since blood is thicker than water, that means that it's not as easily penetrated as water is. Okay. I mean, think about that. That could be the reason for so much stubbornness that occurs within family relationships. Again, as I stated before, family relationships can be the most complicated relationships. I've seen so much stubbornness that exists between family members. For instance, when family members offend one another, for whatever reason, it's hard or it seems difficult for family members to apologize to one another. They're more so like, hey, quit tripping, you just need to deal with it, or it wasn't that bad of a situation, or okay, that's my brother or that's my sister, they'll get over it in time. And little to no consideration is given to the fact that that other person has been injured or offended or whatever. Some people, again, I talked about those boundaries and taking undue liberties with people in relationships. This happens all the time in family relationships. There are family members who carry grudges against one another, not just for years, but for decades, because they are too stubborn to say, I'm sorry to one another or to apologize to one another. And the reality is when they come together in family settings, now some people become so stubborn and so offensive or offended that they ultimately stop participating in family activities because they don't want to be in the presence of someone whom they refuse to apologize to or whom they refuse to forgive. And that being the case, grudges and offenses are held against each other within close family units. And I'm not talking about grudges being held against a cousin. I'm talking about biological brothers and sisters, or even now children holding grudges or offenses against their parents even now. You know, forget all that other good, wonderful stuff that has occurred as a result of the connection. Let one thing happen, and now the whole unit is falling apart. And listen, if you are in a family of more than 2 or 3 people, a lot of times when 2 people within a family unit are at odds with one another, it spills over to the rest of the family because sometimes there are factions created within the family unit that disturbs and disrupts the entire dynamic of the family, such as one family member wants other family members to take sides with them and be against or opposed to that family member who has offended them. And then it becomes a matter of deciphering who's right and who's wrong. And sometimes that's really not the issue. Sometimes the greater issue is just coming to the realization that there has been a disagreement for whatever reason, and that disagreement needs to be resolved, and people need to learn how to forgive one another. One of the things that's unique to family relationships is that none of us had the luxury of choosing what family or what family tree we were going to blossom on. In terms of our biological families, we had no choice in the matter of which family we were born into. You know, I know some of you probably have had periods in your life where you said, boy, I wish I was born to a different family. I wish I had different parents. I wish I had different siblings. But you can wish all you want. It is what it is. And that's just one of the things that you have to learn to deal with and to work through. And I know if I could just turn the mic and the camera around to some of you could tell us horror stories about some of the problems that you've had with your family members. Nevertheless, regardless of the dynamics of the family in which many of us were raised, most of us were indoctrinated with the principles that stated or implied that each family member is obligated to preserve a connection with and loyalty to the family relationship. Watch this. When things happen, one of the first things that some family members who are observers of the conflict only, they will remind the person, even the one who's been severely hurt or severely damaged, they will quickly remind that person, yeah, but that's still your brother. That's still your sister. The question is the person who's doing the offending being reminded of that same thing? And in a lot of cases, likely not, because family members know how sensitive the offender is and how the offender is prone to fly off the handle, so everybody steers clear of the offender while the offended is looking for comfort, desiring joy, desiring peace. I've seen it happen up close and personal. And it's easy to say, well, that's your brother, that's your sister. But that reality doesn't lessen the pain. It doesn't make the conflict any easier. It doesn't bring any sense of consolation to that person who has been offended. And it's sad when one of the persons involved in the conflict really desires resolution to the situation, but the other person just, they aren't having any part of any resolution to any degree. That is so sad. It is so sad. And again, there are some people that feel like, well, this is okay. Their family, they'll eventually work it out. And that's not necessarily true. There are many people who have gone to their grave holding grudges against family members and literally hating certain family members, and even now wouldn't repent, even though that they were on their dying bed. That's just how much hatred had risen up in them. It happens all the time. And it's sad. And I simply believe that it's because most people in family relationships really do not have an authentic concern about the maintenance and the well-being of those family relationships. We just take each other for granted. It's so easy for family members to take one another for granted. And I'm about to say something to you that some of you, this will really resonate with you. It's even more painful when a family member is a repeat offender, and after they've offended you, severely hurt you, has thrown you into a tailspin with regards to the relationship, and you're wondering why things are happening to you. It can be really disturbing when this person just consistently and repeatedly does offensive things to you, but then when they come around, they act like they've done nothing to you. You know, and sometimes they even have the audacity to ask for your help or a favor for certain things after all they've been doing is beating you down time after time, doing whatever to hurt you, but then they act like that nothing's ever been done. And if you were to address them about the issues, they would act as though they are oblivious to what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Rosemary Hardy, wow. 18 brothers and sisters. So yeah, you say this is true. I'm quite sure you've experienced it or witnessed it at some point or another. And that's a difficult thing to deal with. It's an awkward position to be put in, you know? You're having to deal with this person that is constantly causing you hurt and pain, yet you're expected to rescue them in their time of trouble. Now, I will say this. Our Christian convictions at times will cause our hearts to be softened and for us to show compassion in spite of. And I know that's what Jesus would have us to do. But the reality is That's not easy to do. That can be very difficult. And once again, full disclosure, self-transparency, I just tend to distance myself from people who are constantly hurting me. You know, I was on a Zoom call yesterday, and someone shared something that was so simple but yet profound on the call. And they said that basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but here's what they basically said, is that your haters can't hurt you if they can't reach you. Now think about that. If they can't reach you, they can't hurt you. And what they ultimately said was this: if you continue to maintain your integrity and walk in integrity, do the right things, and just live according to who you are in Christ Jesus, typically, in comparison, you're here. And with all the evil that they may be doing, they are here. Now, being here doesn't indicate that you've said, I'm so much better than this individual here. But the reality is, when you're operating with integrity, it does lift you from the lower levels where people are operating with the lack of integrity. You're not lifting yourself up, so to speak, but you're acknowledging the fact that you've come to the point where you are refusing to waddle in the pig pen of foolishness. And so rather than lowering yourself to their level, you remain on the level that God has elevated you to and matured you to. And just know this, that as long as they remain on their level and you remain on your level, they'll never be able to reach you. And if they can't reach you, they cannot hurt or harm you. That's what distance does at times. It causes you to become inaccessible. And sometimes family members need not be able to access you, especially if they have intentions on harming you, regardless as to who it is. Yeah. You know, and listen, don't allow anyone to convince you that just because you are a part of a family unit, that you must hang in there and endure persecution. You don't have to do that. Now, I'm by no means suggesting that you start to retaliate or anything of that nature. But what I am saying is that you don't have to make yourself available or accessible. To a great degree, this is in and of itself can cause or create stress-filled relationships within the family. These kind of dysfunctional occurrences, if you will. It can create a great deal of stress. Why? It is because sometimes family members are the first to take certain liberties and cross relationship boundaries because, again, they feel a sense of entitlement by reason of blood connection. And this applies to all family members. It can apply to parents. It can apply to siblings. It can apply to aunts, uncles, children, whomever in the relationship. People just have this sense of entitlement. And as long as you're not willing to set boundaries and insist on people respecting the boundaries that you set, you're going to be constantly living with a great deal of stress. I said I may touch on just a few things with regards to the marital relationship. Sometimes parents can overstep their bounds as it pertains to getting involved in the marriages of their children. That is not your place, mom, dad. It is not your place. It's not your place to set your daughter-in-law straight or to set your son-in-law straight. You're just creating more stress. The best thing you can do for your children is to step back, pray for them, and believe that God is going to bring either the reconciliation or the relief that your child needs and desires. It happens with siblings. The whole in-law dynamic, And I'm so glad that I'm not the victim of bad in-law situations. I just happen to be blessed enough to have wonderful in-laws. I love my mother-in-law and father-in-law just as though they were my biological parents. I show them the same honor, the same respect. And, I'm so happy to report I get it in return. I'm telling y'all, I feel so loved by my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I do. That's a blessing in and of itself. And then my brother-in-law and sister-in-laws, they show me love and respect. That's a wonderful thing to be in. But again, sometimes family members can overstep their bounds. But now, let me suggest this to you as well. Be careful with sharing certain things with certain family members. Because sometimes when you share your troubles with another person, with your family member, based on the authentic relationship that you may have with that family member, it can cause them to start to feel a certain way about the person who has offended you. Again, this overstepping of the boundary thing, all family members, regardless as to how they fit, have been guilty. What I mean by all, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, children, and cousins, everybody. You can find someone in each category who has a tendency to want to overstep bounds, but you have to be the one that puts that person in check. Many of us, if not most of us, have to admit that we will put up with more from a family member, and we'll do it a lot longer than we will with anyone else. Why? Because we are family. But there comes a point when it is necessary to pump the brakes on family relationships, especially when those relationships become unhealthy or abusive. You got to tell yourself, I'm not going to put up with being abused by anyone. There are some parents who still think that they can talk to their adult children any kind of way. And they want to stand on the principle, well, I'm still your mama, I'm still your daddy. Well, you're talking to an adult now, and adults should be talked to as adults, very respectfully. But at the same token, just because you've reached a certain age, that doesn't give you the liberty to talk to your parent any kind of way. You know, my suggestion to anyone who doesn't appreciate the way that their parent is talking to them at any given time, the tone they may be using, and even now the words they may be using or spewing. Sometimes, again, you have to respectfully remove yourself from the presence of that parent. Know when it's time to go home when you're in their house. Know when it's time to end the conversation when you're on the phone. And there is a respectful way to do it. You might sit there and listen for a while and then say, well, okay, I'm going to have to get ready and go right now. I got some other things that I need to take care of, so I'm going to go ahead and leave. You know, or I'm going to have to get off the phone now because, you know, I've got some other things that I really need. It's respectful, but yet and still you're removing yourself from the situation. You don't have to take abuse from anyone. Now, in my estimation, the pain associated with being engaged in an unhealthy relationship cuts much deeper than any other relationship, an unhealthy family relationship, I should say. The pain of that, it cuts much deeper than any other relationship because of the default expectation one has as a family member. And here's the problem. The problem is this. You got to understand that everyone does not love on the same level. Everyone doesn't love to the same degree. Not all family members are committed to even now family relationships. Everyone, even in family relationships, do not share the same level of compassion, commitment, and consideration for all involved in the relationship. We know that this happens a great deal. Within family relationships and dynamics, certain family members have their picks and chooses. You know, you may have been in a situation where you know you're not a person's favorite person. When I identify those type of situations, I tread lightly. And once again, I'm scarce in my availability. I'm very cautious in my engagement with that individual. See, now my little sister is trying to start something here. Andrea, Dinky, I'm Bishop's favorite sister. Well, she's right. She's my favorite middle sister. I mean, I don't have a middle sister like Dinky. She's unique. She is my favorite middle sister. And just in case my other two sisters are listening, Angie is my favorite big sister. Oh boy. Listen, there's no other big sister like Angela Proctor. She is my favorite big sister. And Anidra, oh my gosh, she is my absolute favorite baby sister. She is, oh, whoa, Lord, when God was passing out baby sisters, Lord, Anidra was the crown jewel, and I got her. So I have 3 favorite sisters. Y'all see how I work that out? And you know, and I treat them all as such because I truly love my family. I love my sisters, and I'm very committed to our relationship as siblings. Oh, Dinky, you're on a roll today. Look what she said. She said, "You're so sweet. I know you don't want to hurt Angie and Nidra's feelings." Okay. 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 That's all I'm going to say about that is okay. But y'all saw how I rolled that out. And that was so genuine. It was straight from the heart. I absolutely love my family. Now, again, thank you, Nikki, for helping with me with that, because it kind of speaks to this point again. Everybody doesn't share that same level of love, compassion, and commitment, even now to family relationships. They have their picks and chooses. They have people they want to fool with within the family, and others they don't. Some they embrace, others they reject. Now, for those of you that feel like that you're in that position where you're being rejected, let me comfort you with this. If you know and remember the story of Joseph in the scriptures, remember his siblings rejected him simply because he was favored by their father. Some people can't stand the favor that's upon your life. They resent the favor that is upon your life, even from the standpoint of your covenant connection with God. I mean, just think about that. And although at times it can be very difficult to deal with and to reconcile in your mind, I guarantee you that if you gain the proper perspective, or even now on how some people perceive you, you'll ultimately find the peace that you desire in terms of that whole dynamic within your relationship. Now, I know that may not bring you a great deal of consolation right now, but you know, if you kind of meditate on that for a little while, really begin to think about it and begin to see the truth in it, eventually your heart will be relieved, your spirits will be lifted, because there will be some sense of resolve and reason behind how you are ultimately treated. But remember, sometimes it's simply because you're here, they're there. They want to reach you. They want to get to you. And they think that if they reject you, then that will be enough to hurt you. But when they can't reach you, neither can they really truly reject you. Well, how do you figure that, Bishop? Well, it's because you can't reject that which really doesn't have any sense of connectedness to you. Or a person can't reject that which they really have no sense of connectedness to. Apparently, when people are trying to push you away, there's no connectedness there. Well, that in and of itself is rejection. Well, if that's the way you want to perceive it. But remember, as you're perceiving it that way, the only thing that you're doing is allowing yourself to be lowered to the pig pen. I look at it like this. When people dismiss me from their lives, I'm not the one who's suffering the loss. Now, it took me some time to come up to speed with this and come to this realization. But I finally did come to the realization that when people say, hey, you know what? I don't want any part, anything to do with them. You know, I've come to the realization that I'm not suffering loss by that. I've lifted myself above that type of thinking. And my lifting myself above that kind of thinking is not arrogance. No. It's just coming to the realization that I don't have to allow people, what they say, what they think of me. I don't have to allow that to pull me down. And neither do you. You don't have to tolerate that kind of thing from any family members. Just because individuals share a biological bond does not justify anyone within the relationship being subjected to relationship abuse. And so what does a person do in such cases? Basically, I want you all to hear me. Basically, the rules that apply to every other relationship in terms of one protecting themselves from the adverse effects of an unhealthy relationship applies to family member and family situations as well. Apply the same rules. Apply the same rules, you'll get the same results. And if other members of the family decide to turn against you, well, let them reside in the same box as any other family member who's attempting to be abusive in their relationship with you. Kick rocks. That's what I would have to say to people who feel like, to family members who feel like, well, I don't want to have anything else to do with you. Well, that's you. Go ahead and do whatever it is you think you got to do. It's just that plain and simple. So here's what you got to do as I wrap this up. As I've stated all throughout this discussion, you've got to strategically make yourself less accessible to abusive family members. If you have to send their calls to voicemail every time, let them go to voicemail. Well, I would feel bad if they had a real emergency and I ignored their call. Well, they made that bed. I guess they'll just have to lie in it. Oh, Bishop, that sounds so harsh. Well, you can at some point listen to the voice message, and if it seems as though that they're in a critical situation wherein they are in need of you, then you can respond afterwards. How about that? Another thing you have to do, even with family members, is you got to establish or set relationship boundaries. And don't allow those boundaries to be crossed by anyone without addressing the violation. Got to do it. It can be done. And then another thing you need to do, in the face of being abused in a relationship, you have to constantly remind yourself that you deserve better. Wow. And then lastly, and I think this is very, very, very important, don't allow anyone to devalue you as a person. You are a valued individual. You are special. Yes, you are. And if anyone says otherwise, you just put it in the category of them being a lie and the truth is not in them. And the only way that you can do that is that you've got to realize your own self-worth first. Amen. This has been kind of deep, I know, for some of you. And I know that there are people on here right now who've been dealing with family issues with siblings, issues with even our parents or aunts, cousins, nieces, nephews, whatever the case may be. And you've been somewhat uncertain with how to handle these things, because one of the things that most of us try to avoid is we try to avoid looking like we're the bad person in the situation. Or as some of you would say, which I really hate, I'm trying to be the bigger person. I still don't know what that means. But you don't have to try to be big for anybody. Just be who you are. Just be who you are. Don't lower yourself to the level of the pig pen. You keep elevating yourself through your integrity, through your compassion, through your love, and maintain your sense of dignity. That's not pride. It's just knowing that there is something about you that is deserving of what is best for you. I think that's a good place to end it right there. Has that been a blessing to you? Has it really been a blessing to you? Now, again, I've been sharing with you and encouraging you to order my books. I'm telling you, I don't directly speak about relationships in the book, but this book kind of talks you through how to deal with going through some adverse things. And adversities pop up constantly in relationships. And even now, I believe you can gain some wisdom from spiritual storm chasers with regards to handling the storms of relationships. You just got to know how to apply it. And then certainly you can be encouraged by this book, Between a Rock and a Heavenly Place, because I address issues of adversity in here as well, and how to engage your faith while going through those things. Now, I'm going to challenge y'all. Y'all come on here every day. Y'all tell me y'all love me. Tell me that you all appreciate me and all of that and what I'm sharing with you. And also don't forget my newest book, Between Two Opinions, is available. But y'all been telling me how much y'all love me and appreciate me and everything. But ain't nobody buying none of my books. Y'all not buying my books. What's going on? Where's the love? Show a brother some love. I did all that writing and y'all not interested. Thank you, Pastor Tyrone. He said, we got our books. Yeah. Joyce Lee, she needs a coupon. Okay. Go to my website, theshepherd1.com. And once you make the purchase, the coupon will show up. Okay. The coupon will show up once you make the purchase. All right. And it'll be a great blessing. Blessing to you. Tisha, you got my new book on Sunday. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. Thank you. There are some of you who have already secured my book. There are a few of you. I must say that. And I hope that you are enjoying the book. It's not a long read. But it's a very easy read. And I believe that what you'll read will resonate in your spirit. And again, I know it's going to challenge you to some degree. Thank you, Sister Linda Taylor. You say you got my book. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, right now, only Spiritual Storm Chasers is available at the church, but I'm waiting on the shipment to come in of my newest release, Between Two Opinions. It should be coming in a week or so. And as soon as I get those in my hand, I'll be bringing copies of that book to the church as well. But you don't have to wait till they get to the church before you purchase your copy. All right. You can go ahead and get your copy now. Okay. So Satisha said it will not take long to read the new book. It doesn't take long, but I believe it's packed with information. Okay. Pastor Ty, your mama says she's waiting on you to order hers. All right. But again, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. You can go to Amazon. You can go to now. Again, Between Two Opinions is not yet available on my website. I've got to get it dropped in there, and I need my technical help to get that dropped in there for me. But we're going to look to do that sooner rather than later. But it will be available. It is right now available on Amazon. And make sure that when you go in and type in the title, make sure you're clicking on the one that has my name on it, Dr. Tony D. Coppins. All right. There are a couple of other authors who use the same title in writing their books, but what distinguishes the different books is the author of the book. So make sure, don't just land on the title and wound up purchasing someone else's book. Make sure that you identify my book. Make sure it's my book and purchase that book. God bless you. I certainly appreciate your support. Well, that's all I have for today. I want to remind you, we will not be on the rest of the week. We have some other things scheduled that we absolutely could not change. And also, we will not be coming on Mondays starting next week. We will no longer be coming on Mondays. I've heeded the voice of my lovely wife. I've taken her advice and her wisdom. She wants her man to get some rest on Monday because I am really right now, I'm on the grind 7 days a week. I've always got something that I need to do. And she just says, hey, I need to lay back and have a day where I do almost nothing in that day but rest and recuperate. And since she's my helpmate, she helped me to make a decision that I needed to make. That takes nothing away from you all. But it just will help me. Thank you, Sister Tisha. Self-care, that's what it's really all about. It's really all about self-care. And if I'm going to continue to perform at peak levels, I've got to take care of myself. So again, you can pass that word along. Let people know that we're no longer, don't look for me on Mondays anymore. It'll be Tuesday through Friday. God bless. And as I often say, my prayer and desire is that you would have not just a blessed, wonderful, and prosperous rest of your day, but a blessed, prosperous, and wonderful rest of your week. All right? God bless you. We love you. I'm out.